My girlfriend of 5 years decided she was done trying. Tired of what she called my going-nowhere career, she spent the night I was away on a business trip with another man. All because he was some well-known trust fund kid from a wealthy family. What she didn't know was that my family wasn't just wealthy. We were the real estate dynasty he could only dream of being. I decided that when I got back, I would finally tell her the truth about who I was. That night, after a long day of meetings, I couldn't wait to get back to our apartment. I stood outside the door and called her phone. A man's voice, a stranger's, answered. "Jess, you must be Caleb. I'm a friend of Jessica's. I'm her boyfriend." "I know. Jess told me all about you." "The ex-boyfriend." Before he could finish, I heard her voice in the background, that soft, familiar purr that used to be only for me. "What are you doing?" "I'm all clean. Your turn to get in the shower." A dial tone buzzed in my ear. The line went dead. I felt a chill cut straight to the bone. Lately, Jessica had been growing colder. I'd come home late from a long day at the site, shower, and try to pull her into my arms, but she'd only ever give me her back. She'd become quiet, sullen, her annoyance a constant, simmering presence between us. At the same time, her phone calls with other people got longer, and she started coming home later. More than once, I'd already be back from the construction site, worried, waiting for her on the couch until after midnight. She'd stumble in, drunk, wearing something tight and revealing, and collapse into a nauseous heap. And on her exposed skin, I'd see the faint, telltale bruises of passion. I swallowed it all down. I told myself our years together meant something. It had to be my fault. I'd been working too hard, neglecting her. Jess and I met at a construction site. I was there inspecting a new high-rise my family was developing, wearing a hard hat and dusty jeans, squatting in a corner, eating a sandwich from a paper bag. I was eating too fast and started to choke. A bottle of water appeared in my line of sight, held by a slender, pale arm. I looked up and saw Jessica's smile. It was as brilliant as the sun, so bright and out of place against the grit and concrete that it stunned me for a second. "Hey, you just gonna stare at it? Take the water. Life on the site must be rough," she said, crouching down next to me as if we were old friends. She clearly thought I was just one of the crew. These corporate bloodsuckers really know how to squeeze a guy dry. She said her name was Jessica. Something made me keep my mouth shut. Maybe I was afraid she'd lump me in with the other bloodsuckers. So I just listened to her complain about the heartless owners. She was so alive, so real, nothing like the polished, pedigreed women I grew up with. I think that was the moment it happened. The moment I fell for her. After that, I made sure her boss always assigned her to that site for inspections. And I'd be there, squatting in the same corner, waiting. One thing led to another, and soon enough, we were together. Because I never forgot what she'd said that first day, I never revealed who I was. To her, I was just a project manager, a foreman. When she complained about working late on project proposals, I secretly bought her marketing firm and had her workload lightened, her salary raised. I just wanted her to be happy. But somewhere along the way, things changed. I think it started with a company gala. It ran late, and I got worried, so I drove my old Vespa over to pick her up. To be honest, I was a terrible driver. I'd always had chauffeurs and never touched anything with two wheels as a kid. I'd taken a few nasty spills learning to ride it, but I did it because Jess had told me the walk from her office to the subway was sketchy at night, full of drunks. So I learned. I was actually at that gala, hidden in plain sight. I'd watch her all night, discreetly intercepting any guy who tried to get too close. She stood in the center of the ballroom in a beautiful evening gown, looking radiant, and I felt a swell of pride. As the event wound down, I hurried to the underground garage, pulled the Vespa out of the back of my SUV, and drove it around to the main entrance to meet her. When I pulled up, I saw her colleagues climbing into chauffeured town cars and six-figure sedans. My little Vespa looked ridiculous. I saw the smile freeze on Jessica's face. "Oh, Jess, is that your boyfriend?" One of her coworkers snickered, bending down to get into the passenger seat of a new BMW. The driver was old enough to be her father. They shared a long, shameless kiss right in front of everyone. "His ride is so sustainable." "Huh? I'm taking a car," another colleague announced, gesturing dismissively at me and my Vespa. I spent too much on my makeup to get it covered in street grime. Women these days could be so materialistic, I thought. But my Jess wasn't like that. I turned to her, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. She clutched her gown and started walking away. Worried she might be in danger, I followed a short distance behind her. "Jess, what's wrong? Get on. I'll take you home." She stopped dead and spun around, her face flushed with anger. "Caleb, were you born yesterday, or are you just playing dumb? Tonight was important. Couldn't you have just spent a little money and rented a decent car? All of my colleagues had luxury cars waiting for them, and you show up on that. That scooter humiliating me." She took a breath, her voice trembling with rage. "Let's be honest. In the 3 years we've been together, have I had one single good day? I used to think you were a wolf in sheep's clothing, just playing poor. I never imagined you were just a pig, through and through. Her words hit me like a physical blow. She didn't look at me again. She just hailed an Uber and was gone. It hit me then that I'd never really known her at all. When we first met, she didn't care that I was covered in dust and grime. She'd wiped the sweat from my brow with her bare hand. But later, after we started dating, she'd instantly recognized the six-figure Patek Philippe on my wrist and asked if it was real. I lied and told her it was a knockoff, just a similar style. She dropped the subject. Then, trying to be playful, I'd asked the question that had been nagging at me. Jess, you're not just with me because you think I'm some secret millionaire, are you? She'd frozen for a second, then rushed over and wrapped her arms around mine, pouting. How could you think that? Is that really the kind of shallow, materialistic woman you think I am? She leaned in, cupped my face in her hands, and gave me a sudden, disarming kiss. Besides, where else am I going to find a boyfriend this young and handsome? Not just handsome. I grinned, a wicked thought crossing my mind. I've got stamina. I swept her up into my arms, and her gasp was swallowed by my kiss. Thinking of those sweet moments, I couldn't bring myself to let go. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe Jess was just anxious because she cared so much about our future. If she knew my real net worth, all these worries would disappear. Once I thought it through, a wave of relief washed over me. I smiled and dialed my father's number. Dad, I made up my mind. When I get back from his business trip, I'm coming home. I'll take over the company. Yes, that's my boy. It's about time you stop getting bogged down in puppy love. Besides, a man who's afraid of a woman is no. Ow, honey, take it easy. My dad's lecture was cut short by a yelp of pain. I figured my mom had him by the ear. Sure enough, her voice came on the line a second later. Son, don't listen to your father. You go get my future daughter-in-law. But be smart about it, okay? Don't let anyone take advantage of you. Girls these days aren't like I was back in the day. Don't worry, Mom. Jess isn't like that. The men in the Sutton family were all hopeless romantics. It started with my grandfather, who fell for my powerhouse grandmother. Then my dad, who started for nothing with my mom by his side, and she's had him wrapped around her finger ever since. You build your fortune by treasuring your family. That's what he always taught me. When I got back to our apartment, it was pitch black. Jess wasn't home. A knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach. A young woman, out this late, where could she be? Horrific news stories flashed through my mind. Uber driver attacks, stalkings. I immediately called her cell. It went straight to voicemail. No answer. After a moment's hesitation, I called her best friend, Eliza. Their friendship had been on the rocks lately, but I was out of options. Hello, Eliza? Is Jess with you? We had a fight, and I don't know where she went. I'm kind of worried. A cold laugh came from the other end. Caleb, sometimes I honestly wonder if you're even a man. Your girlfriend is out there collecting cheating achievements like their Girl Scout badges, and you're still treating her like a princess. How can you say that? She thinks of you as a friend. Is every man completely blind to a master manipulator? I'm doing you a favor here. Get yourself to the Midnight Lounge in the Meatpacking District. If you hurry, you won't miss the main event. She hung up on me. I was furious. What kind of friend was that? No wonder they were fighting. But I went. When I got there, the club was a chaotic mass of bodies, the thumping bass vibrating in my skull. I pushed through the crowd, fending off propositions, until I found her in the middle of the dance floor. She'd changed into a skin-tight mini dress and was moving like a snake, grinding against some stranger. The front of her dress was cut so low it was a miracle it stayed on, and the guy's eyes were practically bugging out his head. A circle had formed around them, people cheering them on. Whoa, he's here, he's here. Just as their lips were about to touch, I finally broke through the circle and yanked her away. Stop filming. I said stop fucking filming. I swatted the closest phone out of someone's hand. When he looked like he was about to step to me, I pulled a wad of cash from my pocket and threw it on the floor. Is that enough? The crowd descended into a chaotic scramble for the $100 bills. I half-dragged, half-carried a protesting Jessica out of there and back to our apartment. The door slammed shut behind us. I shoved her onto the sofa. Are you sober yet? Jessica pushed herself up, her dress riding high on her thighs, revealing a flash of pale skin. Any other time, I would have lost control. But right now, my heart was a block of ice. Caleb, what is your problem? We're all adults. People go to clubs. You're being so dramatic. What kind of person with a boyfriend grinds on a stranger in a club? If I'd been 5 minutes later, would you have ended up in his bed? Eliza was right. I was almost too late for the main event. At the mention of Eliza's name, Jessica's expression soured. You believe her over me? You know we had a falling out. She's just jealous. She wants you for herself, and she'd do anything to see us break up. Did you see me sleep with another man? Or are you just determined to believe the worst of me? Caleb, is that really the kind of woman you think I am? Her voice cracked. Why are you even with me? We should just break up. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. Seeing her cry, looking so fragile and wronged, I felt a familiar pang of heartache. I moved to hug her, but she shoved me away. Don't touch me. Stay away from me. I ignored her protests and pulled her into a tight embrace. I didn't see the cold, triumphant smirk that flickered across her lips. I'm sorry, Jess. I'm so sorry. I was wrong to doubt you. Was I with you for your money? She sobbed into my chest. You have no idea what people say about me at work. That I'm young and beautiful, and I've tied myself to some broke nobody. I can't stand it when they talk about you like that. And then you ride up on that stupid Vespa and give them more ammunition. Her words moved me. I held her hands tightly and made a promise. Jess, I'm leaving for a business trip in a few days. My company gave me a huge project. If I can close this deal, I'll get a massive commission. And when I get back, we'll get married. So what if my girlfriend liked money? It was a good thing I had plenty of it. But I never could have imagined the welcome home gift that was waiting for me. During the trip, every time I tried to FaceTime, Jessica would decline, saying she was busy. After days of nonstop work, I finally closed the biggest deal of my career. My father was so impressed he officially handed over the reins of the corporation to me. I immediately booked a red-eye flight home. I stood outside our apartment, a bouquet of roses in my hand, ready to give her the surprise of her life and finally tell her everything. That's when a strange man answered her phone. A loud crash came from inside, followed by sounds that made my face burn. The door wasn't soundproof. I looked through the peephole, and my eyes met those of the man inside. Leo Roth, a notorious playboy in our circles. My father often used him as a cautionary tale. The guy had a thing for married women and taken women. Our eyes met through the glass. A smug, playful grin spread across Leo's face. He started moving with more force. I could hear Jessica's breathy moans. Who's better, me or Caleb? MMM. You are, she gasped. The door vibrated with their movements. It was obvious how intense things were. Leo lifted Jessica and carried her toward the bedroom. My hand tightened on the doorknob. It was laughable. The girl I had cherished for so long, the one I'd put on a pedestal, was willingly letting herself be treated like this. I couldn't take it anymore. I unlocked the door and pushed it open. The living room was a disaster zone. Men's and women's clothing scattered everywhere, the air thick with the sticky scent of sex. On the wall, facing the front door, was a large framed photo of Jessica and me. The irony was suffocating. Seeing me in the bedroom doorway, Jessica shrieked and shoved Leo off her, pulling the duvet over her body. After a moment, she spoke. You're back. You didn't say you were coming. I was stunned by her audacity. Aren't you going to explain this? It was Leo who spoke first, rolling over to wrap an arm around her. What's to explain? Jess and I are a perfect match. I've been keeping her company while you were gone. Caleb, let's break up, Jessica said, her voice flat. You can't give me what I want. Leo can give me tens of thousands of dollars in a single day. That's more than you make in a month. We were together for years. What did you ever give me? You slept with me all that time. You got what you wanted, didn't you? She stated, as if it were the most reasonable thing in the world. So Eliza had been right all along. Jessica really was that shallow. I had rushed back, still in my travel clothes, my heart full of hope. To say I wasn't hurt would be a lie. I had truly loved her for years. Leo looked me up and down, his eyes filled with undisguised contempt. Buddy, in this day and age, if you don't have the means, you can't keep a beautiful woman like this. A lover is like a flower. You have to water her. If it weren't for my careful tending, your girlfriend would have withered away. You read too many romance novels. What woman isn't a gold digger? Jess loves my money, and luckily I have it. And I love this body of hers. He smirked. Have you ever seen this wild side of her? For all our years together, in our life and in bed, I had always put her wishes first. Now, here she was being talked about like a cheap commodity by another man, and she didn't seem to care in the slightest. What was there left for me to say? Jessica, this is the path you chose. I won't fight you on it. This apartment is in my name. You can have it. A parting gift. It was my mistake for not seeing who you really were. We're done. I suddenly felt numb. The roses in my hand fell to the floor, their petals crushed. I turned and walked away. For a split second, as she saw me leave, a flicker of panic crossed Jessica's face. In that moment, she felt like she had lost something monumental. But the feeling vanished as quickly as it came, because the next second, Leo was pushing her back on a bed, and their filthy words once again filtered through the door. When I stepped outside, it had started to rain. I arrived back at the family estate in Greenwich, soaked to the bone. My parents, hearing the noise, came out in their robes. My mother gasped when she saw the state I was in. She took a towel from Maria, our housekeeper, and started drying me off. Son, what on earth happened to you? When she heard it was because of Jessica, she didn't look surprised. Girls today have agendas. My son had to get his heart broken to learn to see clearly. Listen to your mother. In a few days, you're going to meet Mrs. Vance's daughter. Her mother and I used to be such good friends. Mom, I'm not in the mood for another relationship right now. Are you trying to give me a heart attack? Men your age have kids running all over the place. Just meet her. If you don't like her, that's fine. In the end, I couldn't win against my mother. I went. I just never expected that Mrs. Vance's daughter would be Eliza. Seeing me, Eliza froze. You're Mrs. Sutton's son? She asked, her tone sharp. You're Mrs. Vance's daughter. It really was a small world. It turned out that Eliza had also come from a wealthy family, but had hidden her identity when she became friends with Jessica. They had a falling out after Jessica repeatedly sided with another girl who came from a powerful family. So, she said, an eyebrow raised, have you finally seen Jessica for who she is? When I told her what had happened, she burst out laughing. Seeing the dark look on my face, she quickly stifled her giggles. Sorry. I couldn't help it. It's just the most pathetic cheating story I've ever heard. Well, look what we have here. A support group for the recently dumped. I recognized the smug voice instantly and marveled again at how small this world was. Jessica was clinging to Leo Roth's arm like a trophy, her chin held high as she stared at Eliza and me. Eliza, long time no see. Ugh, don't call me that. You're going to make me puke. Eliza clutched her mouth dramatically, her face contorted in disgust. Jessica sneered. You work fast, Eliza. Already shacking up with my ex-boyfriend. I should have known Jessica was capable of being this cruel. Not as fast as you, Eliza shot back. You were like an octopus, wrapping your legs around another woman's boyfriend before we were even broken up. So, Leo and Eliza were exes. What a tangled mess. And what terrible taste in men, I thought. As if reading my mind, Eliza glanced at me, her eyes clearly saying, You're not one to talk. A meal here isn't cheap, Leo said, his eyes raking over Eliza with undisguised lust, while still managing to belittle me. Does Caleb's little salary cover the bill for you too? Don't you worry about it, Eliza said, grabbing my arm and forcibly wrapping my hand around her waist. The soft warmth of her body surprised me, but she gave me a sharp nudge in the ribs to play along. He's my boyfriend. I'm happy to spend my money on him. I can't believe it, Jessica sneered, her eyes burning with jealousy at our feigned intimacy. After we break up, you become a kept man. It's only been a few days, and you've already found someone new. And here I thought you were so devoted. I almost laughed. How'd I ever fall for this psycho? You cheated. Why can't I find a new girlfriend after we broke up? And so what if I'm a kept man? At least I'm not a homewrecker. My girlfriend loves me and wants to spoil me. What's it to you? Your ex is now. Try to act like it. My words made Leo's face darken with fury. He glared at Eliza. Did you sleep with him? We were together for years, and you wouldn't even let me touch you. But you'll spread your legs for any random guy? Eliza, you're a real slut. So damn cheap. Eliza's eyes welled up with tears. I couldn't hold back. I swung a punch straight into his eye socket. Did your mother ever teach you to clean your mouth before you spew garbage? Are you even a man? A bottom feeder who preys on other people's leftovers. You're pathetic. A rotten piece of trash who thinks he's hot stuff just because he has a dick. I was shaking with rage. This punch is for Eliza. Knowing you was the worst luck of her life. I landed another. And this one is for me. For making a fool out of me. I'll kill you. But you know what? Thanks. Thanks for showing me what kind of trash Jessica really is. You two are a perfect match. I had him on the ground, punching him like a madman. Afraid I'd actually kill him, Eliza pulled me off. Jessica had already scurried to the side, terrified I'd come for her next. As a parting shot, I gave him one last kick. Let's go. Find another place. I can't eat in the same room as garbage. Hit and run. It felt damn good. Leo had gotten a few shots in, though. Later, sitting in a park, Eliza dabbed iodine on my cuts. Looking at her pretty face, so close to mine, I thought that maybe listening to my mom wasn't such a bad idea. You want to talk about my bad taste, she murmured. Eliza had been studying abroad and met Leo when he played the hero and saved her at a club. It was all a setup, of course. She later found out that Jessica and Leo had been hooking up behind her back even then. The restaurant manager later told me that Leo had demanded they call the police and check the security footage. It was hilarious. On my family's property? The manager just told him the cameras were broken. The next time I saw Jessica was at my family's annual investment gala. I was having a cigarette in a quiet corridor when she cornered me. Caleb, Let's get back together, she pleaded. Leo gave me a lot of money. I can use it to take care of you. I started to laugh. Thinking she had a chance, she pressed on. Caleb, you do still love me, right? Leo, he plays too rough. I can't handle him. I know now how good you were to me. She showed me her arm. It was covered in angry red marks from hot wax, like a grotesque, winding snake. What makes you think, I said calmly, that Caleb Sutton would ever want someone's leftovers? And who told you I needed anyone to take care of me? Do you know who Robert Sutton is? He's my father. Jessica just stared at me like I was an idiot. Caleb, if you're going to invent a fantasy to make me jealous, at least make it a believable one. Everyone knows Robert Sutton is the richest man in the city. You're a construction worker. You couldn't even afford a sports car for me. You don't need to go to such lengths just to get a reaction out of me. I was speechless. Jessica, you're not worth the effort anymore. Honestly, when I think about our past now, it's just pathetic. I flicked the ash from my cigarette. I should really thank you for showing me your true colors. Otherwise, my family's money would have been terribly wasted. I walked past her, ignoring her stunned, vacant expression, and returned to the ballroom. Eliza saw me and immediately smiled, linking her arm through mine. We walked together toward our parents. Leo was there, bowing and scraping as he tried to schmooze them. When he saw Eliza and me arm in arm, his face twisted into a mask of rage, and he stepped in front of my father and Mr. Vance. How did you two sneak in here? He hissed. Listen, I have a major deal with Sutton Industries on the line today. If you dare ruin this for me, I'll make sure you both regret it. Especially you, Caleb. Don't think I've forgotten what happened at the restaurant. I'll find a way to make you pay. He whispered his threats, completely oblivious to Eliza's eye roll and the darkening expressions on our fathers' faces behind him. Make who pay? My father asked, his voice dangerously low. Leo turned, his face pale. Mr. Sutton, this is a private matter. We have some history. They probably heard I was closing a deal here and snuck in. I'll have them removed immediately. Security in this place has really gone downhill. Mr. Vance added with a cold snort. Leo, thinking they were talking about us, waved his hand. Security, security, get these two out of here. The security guards walked over, but they went straight for Leo, grabbing him by the shoulders. Mr. Sutton, Mr. Vance, there's been a mistake. I'm here to do business with you. Leo was 5'8" at best, and the guards were both well over 6 feet. He looked like a child being manhandled, a ridiculous sight. The commotion drew a crowd, and soon everyone was gathered around, glasses of wine in hand, to watch the drama unfold. There's no mistake. We're kicking you out, my father said. You called us Mr. Sutton and Mr. Vance. What do you think our relationship is to these two? My father had a rough-and-tumble youth, and even though he was older now, he still radiated an intimidating aura. He stood before Leo, looking down at him. Son, what was it you were saying? About making my boy pay? Even someone as dense as Leo could finally put the pieces together. His legs gave out, and he collapsed to his knees with a thud. A misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Caleb and I are friends, just joking around. Eliza and I even dated. Right, Eliza? Leo looked at her, his eyes begging for help. Eliza turned away from him and smiled sweetly at her father. Dad, he's the one who tried to drug and assault me. Mr. Vance's face turned black. He gave a slight nod, and my father had his men clear the room. In an instant, it was just our families and a few large men in black suits. A scream like a slaughtered pig echoed through the grand hall. When I looked again, Leo was on the floor, clutching his groin, looking like a dead fish. Just as my father was about to have him dragged out, a figure burst from the crowd. Dad, I'm pregnant with Caleb's child. I'm a month along. Jessica, who had appeared from nowhere, threw herself at my father's feet, clutching her stomach. My father gently helped her up. You must be Jessica, Caleb's ex-girlfriend. You say you're carrying his child? But if I recall, you two broke up 3 months ago. His voice was kind, but his eyes were like chips of ice. Do you really think you can scheme your way into our family? His expression changed in a flash. He shoved her hand away, and she stumbled and fell to the floor, looking dazed and lost. Not giving up, Jessica scrambled over and hugged my legs, wailing hysterically. Caleb, you still love me, right? We used to be so close. You always said my tears broke your heart. Look at me. Look at our baby. She tried to place my hand on her flat stomach, but I yanked it away and pulled my leg free, as if she were something filthy. Miss Miller, if I'm not mistaken, we've been broken up for 3 months. I don't possess the ability to get a woman pregnant from across the country. Remember what I told you? This is the path you chose. Don't regret it. Leo, meanwhile, was staring at Jessica with the eyes of a viper. He slapped her hard across the face. You bitch. I'm not even dead yet, and you're already trying to pass my kid off on another man? Take a look around. Do you think he'd even want you now? I just watched coldly as the two dogs tore each other apart. Mister. Vance had security throw them both out. He terminated all of his company's business with the Roth family, taking a personal loss to cancel their investments. For us, it was a flesh wound. But for the Roths, who desperately needed that capital, it was a death sentence. Their company declared bankruptcy within a week. Eliza and I, naturally, got together. It was only then that I learned the truth about that day at the construction site. It was Eliza who had bought the water for me all those years ago. But in the glare of the sun, Jessica had seen the light reflecting off my expensive watch and had snatched the bottle, handing it to me first. It was a relief to know that, after all the twists and turns, we had found our way back to each other. A few months later, Eliza and I were engaged. A year after that, we had a magnificent wedding. But I never imagined Leo Roth would be so brazen. He somehow managed to sneak into the ceremony, intent on taking us all down with him. Just as the officiant was asking, "Do you, Caleb, take this woman?" My eyes caught a crazed figure rushing toward the altar. It took me a second to realize it was Leo. He was a shadow of his former self. The man who once seemed to live only for women was now haggard and gaunt, with a scraggly beard, looking like he was going through severe drug withdrawal. He had a knife clutched in his hand and lunged for Eliza and me. The guests screamed and scattered in a panic. I shoved Eliza behind me, kicked the knife out of his hand, and landed 2 swift kicks to his already injured groin. My father and Mr. Vance reacted instantly. Men in black suits swarmed in and pinned Leo to the floor, face down. He was still screaming. Why? Why does Caleb Sutton get everything? Eliza, I was with you for 3 years. You acted like my touch was disgusting, but you were happy to get with him, weren't you? Ha ha ha. Caleb, it felt so good to cuckold you. Your precious ex-girlfriend Jessica was so easy. A little bit of cash, and she was mine for the taking. Eliza was trembling with rage, about to lunge at him, but I held her back. Honey, you'll get your hands dirty. Let your husband handle this. I walked over and delivered 2 hard slaps to Leo's face. He spat out a mouthful of blood and 2 teeth, but his mouth kept running. Go ahead, kill me. I'd be happy to die if it means taking the great Caleb Sutton down with me. Kill you. I smiled a dark, cold smile. That's too easy. I'm going to torture you, slowly. You're going to watch yourself wish for death, but never find it. I must have looked like a demon. A dark patch spread across the front of Leo's pants. He had pissed himself in fear. Pathetic. My father had him dragged away, with specific instructions that he wasn't to be killed. When the Roth family came to get him, Leo was a broken man. Given his attempted murder, they had no legal ground to stand on and didn't dare call the police. My father had spared his life, and in return, Leo's parents had to kneel, bow their heads to the floor, and thank us. 10 months later, Eliza gave birth to a beautiful daughter. She was smart and adorable, just like her mother. Both our families were overjoyed, especially my father. My family had only produced sons for 3 generations. He'd always dreamed of a little granddaughter to call him Grandpa. Leo was left permanently impotent and would spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. His family, hearing that Jessica was pregnant with his child, took her in. The Roths were a traditional, old-fashioned family. Even after going bankrupt, Leo's mother clung to her feudal ways. Jessica was forced to wait on her hand and foot, serving tea, washing clothes, and cooking every meal. She was also responsible for dealing with Leo's bedpan. I heard that Jessica also gave birth to a daughter, but the Roths were displeased. She hadn't given them a male heir. Later, the rumor was that Jessica was pregnant again. After learning of the first pregnancy, Leo's personality had warped completely. He found new, creative ways to torment Jessica daily. His father tried to protect her, but every time he did, his mother would fly into a rage. Eventually, Leo's father stopped interfering. Over time, Jessica finally snapped. One night, while the family slept, she took a knife and stabbed Leo to death. She stabbed him dozens of times, each one fatal. Then she killed his parents. Her daughter witnessed the entire bloodbath. After a raging fever, the little girl was left mentally disabled. Jessica was sent to prison. Her daughter was sent to a foster home.